Well, I'm absolutely delighted now to be joined by the LGA's Chief Executive, John Ransford. John, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Now, John, you outlined today the LGA's strategy for 2010. What is that strategy?
The LGA's got to change because the country is changing. This is the year when there'll be a general election, and whatever the outcome, it's one of those big change elections. We know the public finances are in a dreadful state, and in order to pay for the cost of the recession, public expenditure is going to be much tighter. So local government needs leadership. It needs strong support from the centre to what people are doing locally, and we want to make the LGA more effective on their behalf and do it for less of their money.
Now, you say that, John, but look at the figures out today. The number of people employed in the public sector is going up and up, and as a country we have to borrow £178 billion a year. How's that going to work?
If you look at every recession since the Second World War, Stephen, the resources for public sector come on a different pattern to the private sector. So we've seen over the last 2 years massive job losses in the private sector. I'm afraid we're going to see big job losses in the public sector in the next 2 to 3 years. Local government will probably have substantial less resource.
But if you open the newspaper, turn on the television, one subject and one subject only, that's executive pay. Now, there are countless local authority chief executives who earn more than the Prime Minister. Now, is that right?
Well, I always find this comparison with the Prime Minister interesting. The Prime Minister's a politician. If you compare what the Prime Minister gets to elected mayors or leaders of the council, the Prime Minister earns over double any of those. And of course the Prime Minister gets free accommodation and gets lots of rewards in retirement from the post. Tony Blair is not a poor man. Now, a council chief executive has got to be measured against a manager in the private sector doing a similar job, all of whom will be on more money and all of whom will have share options. We have far less senior managers and chief executives now. Yes, they're remunerated better for doing a very complex job which is always in the public eye. We make no complaint about that. The answer is transparency, so people know what people earn rather than what they think they earn, and we explain what they do. And when you actually explain what they do and the complexity of these jobs, I think you get certainly a different view from local people, if not the media. And remember, every chief executive or chief officer is employed by local councillors who people can remove at the ballot box at regular intervals if they don't like what they're doing.
John, thank you ever so much indeed for joining us today.
Thank you.